In today's video, we are going to be breaking down CJ McCollum and how he shoots the basketball. CJ McCollum is one of the better shooters in the NBA, and of course, we can always learn how the best shooters shoot the basketball so that we can shoot the basketball better. Let's get down and let's check them out. Okay, so this first clip is an in-game clip. From there, he gathers the ball at his waist. This is where you would be usually looking to gather the ball. Some players will gather in front of their hips, while others will gather to the side. CJ, however, gathers roughly right in the middle, if not over his right leg, depending on what he is trying to do. This was a step back move, so when he does do that, he does tend to gather the ball in the middle of his hips. From there, when he rises up, we want to look at what his base looks like. And what his base looks like is he is putting most of his weight onto his right leg, at least at first. Both feet have toes pointed towards the rim, which is going to give him a nice solid base for accuracy. And then both knees do tend to be pointing when bent towards the rim. From there, we want to look at the hips. The hips as well as the shoulders are pretty square towards the rim, meaning that they are both roughly the same distance from the net as each other. This again is going to be a great base for a nice consistent shot. He is also looking at the rim as well, and you generally want to do that when you're coming back from a step back. As soon as he knows he's about to shoot, he is looking at that rim. This is very important. Now, when he brings that ball up, we want to look at his elbow. At least that's what I like to look at. The reason for that is when you've got less movement from your gather up to your set point, what this does is it allows you to then recover from shooting slumps much faster. And what we do see when he goes from the gather up into his set point is all he is rotating is his hips as well as his shoulder. There is not much rotation or bend when it comes to his elbow until this point right about there. That is when he goes from not much of a bend to a bend. Right there it happens, which means that he is going to still be a consistent shooter, but he does slightly bend the elbow. His set point does tend to be right above his right eye, over top or in front of the right side of his forehead. From there, when he does get it up into his set point, the left shoulder slightly does move back. Now, what is this going to do? Well, for a lot of players, this allows that player to have the ability to line up the shoulder of the shooting arm with the elbow in line with the net. This is your aim, but also having your elbow underneath the ball is also your aim. So I like to call this the triangle, where you have your shoulder in line with the elbow and elbow in line with the ball, which allows you to have a nice straight shot. Now, he does tend to look like he flares his elbow out towards the left side, and I've seen a lot of people comment on that. However, he looks like he does that because he does bring that left shoulder back, and he shoots with the ball underneath of his guide hand. His guide hand is on top of the ball. And what that means is with some players, they do lose a lot of rotation on that ball. We do see that he does not lose that much rotation. He still has, from other clips that I have watched, 2.5 or more rotations on that ball, which is good. Now, rotation on that ball is going to allow you to have that ball hit that rim softer so that it has a higher chance of bouncing in. When he does release his guide hand, we do see that there is a gap between the guide hand as well as the ball, which allows us to then look at his thumb and say, does he have a thumb flick? Because I've heard somebody say that he has a thumb flick. If he did have a thumb flick, his palm would be more facing towards the rim, so he does not have a thumb flick like Kyrie Irving or Curry. Now, you don't usually want to have a thumb flick because there are sometimes that it does come in handy, like with the Currys as well as with Kyrie Irving, where it pushes the ball up higher into the set point. But from there, what the thumb flick does to a lot of players is it cuts down on the rotation of the ball And when that happens, you have no rotation on the ball, and it's basically like a shot put. If it hits the rim, it's going to keep on going. We do notice that there is a space between his palm and the ball as well, which allows him to have more control over the ball. Now, when it comes to his set point, he does have roughly a 45-degree angle on his elbow, which is going to allow him to have more power. That's why he has some pretty darn good range. But that is going to cut down a couple of milliseconds. If he was to go up to a 90-degree angle, he would be quicker. But again, that is a tough shot for a lot of players to make. Only 2 or 3 players right now in the NBA have that 90-degree, and they tend to have a fast release. But considering how high of a percentage CJ McCollum actually shoots at, I'm not too worried, and I would not be changing that whatsoever. When he does go up to release that ball, we do notice that it does go off the middle finger as well as the pointer finger. And we also do notice that he finishes with his elbow above his forehead. This is going to give him arc. Basically, what gives you power on your shot is your legs. Your legs get more power onto the ball. Meanwhile, your release is what allows you to get arc on the ball. By releasing higher up in your shot, you're going to get more arc. Essentially, if your shot is always too long, you want to reach up higher into your shot. So if your shot is short, you want to jump higher. If your shot is too long, you want to release higher. And then when he releases, he does tend to release with a hard flick, more like a Michael Jordan. What that's going to do for him is to get more rotation on that ball. So again, so that when it hits that rim, it is softer. When he sets up for a set shot, both feet are pointing towards the rim. Now, some players will find that they will have a more accurate shot if their left leg is a little bit more forward, so that only their toes are ahead instead of the whole foot. However, this will give you more power onto your shot, so you can step back from even farther. From there, we can see definitely has space between his palm and that ball, and he doesn't wrinkle back his wrist, which means that he's going to have a faster release because he's not bending his hand all the way back like some players do. However, if you do bend your hand back farther, you will tend to have more rotation and spin on your ball. We can also see that his release stays up for a while, and that's going to allow it to be a very consistent shot over and over and over again. I hope that you have enjoyed today's video. If you have, hit that like button, subscribe. I hope that this video has helped you become a better shooter in basketball. Make sure to go check out the vertical jump training program down in the description below. I'll see you guys again next time.